Alright guys, MTech Guy here. So today I thought we'd get out from underneath the carport, get the M5 out for a bit of a run. So we're up the volcano today, but I've got to admit it, the car's looking pretty filthy. It's been one of them weeks where it's been sunny raining, impossible conditions to keep a black car clean. Guys, I don't know what you want from me, but anyhow. So today we're going to be taking a look at how to make an SMG3 gearbox ultra reliable. Now let me tell you something right now, we're not going to be looking at making it bulletproof. It's still a mechanical piece of equipment, just like an engine. People always say, oh, this engine's bulletproof, that engine's bulletproof. Oh, BMW N52 engine, super reliable, it's bulletproof. There's no such thing as a bulletproof engine, and thus it goes the same for the gearboxes also, but we will be taking a look at how to make it ultra reliable. Now there's a number of little jobs we can do to the SMG3 gearbox to make it ultra reliable, but it's not the most accessible piece of equipment on the car. So first of all, when's the best time to carry out all this work? Well, ultimately when you've got the gearbox out of the car. Now you don't want to be ripping it out just for the sake of it, so you want to be taking this opportunity, say when you've got a clutch to replace. Now these cars are getting to the sort of age and mileage where if your clutch hasn't already been done, it's probably coming up pretty close. So this is something you want to be planning for when you do finally get the gearbox out to replace your clutch. Okay, so you got the gearbox out of the car and we're fitting a new clutch. Now at the same time you want to be considering fitting a new flywheel also. Now while you've got it all apart, it is worth chucking a new one in there, but the general rule of thumb with these cars is it should require a new flywheel every other clutch change, but if you're not sure, it is worth chucking one in there just in case. Now then, while you've got things apart and you're fitting your new clutch and shiny flywheel, one part that you definitely want to think about replacing, and more so than any other part that we're going to talk about today, is the clutch slave cylinder. Now, the way this is fitted, a portion of it sits inside the bell housing, and over time, the seals in the clutch slave cylinder can start to leak. And even though there's a dust boot on the inside there, what'll happen is it'll leak clutch brake fluid inside the bell housing, and then it'll start contaminating that nice new clutch you've just fitted. And that's the last thing you want. So if your clutch slave cylinder hasn't been replaced recently and you've got things apart, you're putting a new clutch and flywheel in there, make sure you put a new clutch slave cylinder in also. Now along with your new clutch, it is worth thinking about replacing your clutch release fork. Now most of the time you can just get away with inspecting them, normally they're okay, but what can happen over time is they can get slightly worn or even stretched out, so for the price of what a new one costs, it is worth just chucking a new one in there anyhow. Okay, so along with the clutch release fork, you want to be replacing the pivot pin for sure. The original one is plastic, so it wears over time. There are bronze alternatives available, but these can get screwed up pretty quickly, so although these seem like a nice alternative to the OEM plastic ones, the plastic style actually lasts a lot longer. Now while we're in the bell housing area there, it is worth replacing the clutch release bearing, also known as the throwout bearing. The early versions of these used to get pretty gnarled up over time and would cause issues. They later changed the design, which is much improved. And while you're at it, you might as well chuck a new pilot bearing in there also. While I'm at it, yeah, the curse of any car enthusiast bank balance. Alright, so next we want to be thinking about oil leaks. Now these cars are starting to get on a bit now. This one in front of us being 16 years old. Of course, as we've talked about in the past, rubber parts go hard, start to crack and deteriorate over time. No matter how well you look after your car, these parts will start to fail, especially at this age. One thing's certainly for sure, if your car is about at the age of these E60 M5s are at the minute, all of the original rubber parts will be screwed. Oil seals, suspension bushes, belts, the whole lot. Anyhow, back to oil seals. While you've got the gearbox out, it is worth chucking in a new rear main seal on the back of the engine, and at the same time the gearbox input shaft seal. Alright, so if we move along to the top of the gearbox, of course, you've got your hydraulic unit bolted to the top of the SMG3 gearbox there, and this is where all your shift solenoids are housed. Now, while we've got everything apart, while we've got the gearbox out of the car, it is worth going through and replacing all of them shift solenoid O-rings. It's an easy job to do, just need to unbolt the solenoids themselves, go through, replace all the O-rings, and you can do the clutch solenoid too at the same time. Now if you choose to leave this, what can happen over time is them O-rings will start to deteriorate, they'll crack, and they'll pass hydraulic pressure, and then what you'll find is you'll have all sorts of shifting issues because you won't be able to build the correct pressure around the correct solenoid. And while you are selecting your brand new O-rings to go with your solenoids, go for the Viton style rubber. That's going to last the longest. Okay, so moving along, next up we'll take a look at the wiring harness that feeds that solenoid block on top of the gearbox. Now, the original wiring insulation on this harness breaks down over time, and what happens is the bare sections of wire can short out, causing all sorts of issues, and it can be a nightmare to diagnose. So again, while the gearbox is out of there, it is worth removing that harness from the gearbox, stripping back each wire, so you'll have to disconnect each wire from the connector, pin by pin, remove it, remove the wiring insulation, and then heat shrink a new one over the top, reconnect the pin, move on to the next one, and once you've got them all done, it is worth wrapping them up in some kind of heat resistant insulation also. And this is going to save you a huge amount of headaches in the long run, because then wires will break down over a long period of time. And lastly, it is worth inspecting the SMG pump motor for wear. While you've got it apart, blow out any loose carbon dust from inside. It's the dust from the brushes. Inspect the brushes themselves and make sure they slide freely. It is worth checking the stamping on the side of the brushes and dressing them up with a file, as they can cause obstruction against them sliding smoothly. Give the motor a good clean while it's apart, and when you refit it, make sure the coupler to the pump is lined up correctly too. Very important. And once you've got that little lot sorted, it is worth considering a few little incidentals here and there while you get everything apart, while the exhaust is dropped out the way. It's a good opportunity to maybe have a look at doing the starter motor while you're at it, and the reason being is that the bolts that mount this starter to the engine, which sits inside the V of the V10 engine, are positioned from the gearbox side of the car, not from the front end, not from the engine side. So it is worth considering chucking a new starter motor in while you're busy with everything else. It's up to you. While you've got the gearbox on the bench, make sure you check the SMG cooler lines. If the hoses are leaking, look at replacing them or getting them repaired. Of course, put a brand new set of gearbox mounts when you come to refit the gearbox itself. And while you're busy with everything else, check out the drive shaft centre support bearing and rubber coupling, also known as the Guibo. If they're looking a bit ropey, then chuck some new ones in there while you're at it. Alright guys, so there we have it. If you do have your SMG3 gearbox out of your E60 M5 and you're busy fitting a new clutch, there's a number of little jobs you can think about. They're going to keep you out of trouble, and of course they're going to keep you from getting rich anytime soon. Now, if you guys notice anything that I've missed or anything else worth considering doing while you're at it, make sure you leave a comment below. If you found the video interesting or useful, don't forget to give it a like, and make sure you go and check out the rest of my YouTube channel for more M5 content. I'm MTech Guy. Thanks a lot for watching.